Someone from Screen Rant decided to say this, so naturally I had to have a good laugh. The first section starts off with him describing Andromeda as having hilarious glitches, cookie-cutter levels, how boring the aliens and their lack of diversity are, and how maddeningly repetitive Sam is. Yet despite this, he has 15 reasons why it's the best in the series. Welcome to another world of fanboy madness. Andromeda's combat is finally tuned to near perfection, like no game BioWare has ever made.
You're flanked.
Watertight. Good luck.
Been planet hopping ever since. Hunting Ket.
Enemy AI is cunning, vicious, and will outflank you easily if you don't keep moving. Check out TheProperBloke's video in the description, giving an over 20-minute analysis on how bad the AI in Andromeda is. With endless variations on how you can fight, more on that later, Andromeda presents a combat experience that outshines the original trilogy in every way. Put simply, it's just more fun. Yet he doesn't explain how, nor is he comparing things. There's no facts, no comparison, and thus is an empty statement. This is not how you make a comparative opinion piece. You need a scale, and you need two values to weigh on said scale. Come on, fanboy, you can try a bit harder here. Andromeda is the perfect realization of the explorative ambitions of that first game. No two terrains are the same, no two bases are alike, and everywhere you go, you'll always encounter something new and different. While Andromeda does put a lot of work into its 4 explorable worlds, you will quickly notice, as the author has stated in his opening paragraph, the levels are cookie-cutter. There's no point to an open-world exploration if the exploration doesn't mean anything. Why are we exploring? What does this have to do with the story? What's my motivation? Just because there has flora and different fauna or bodies of water isn't a reason to make a giant map if nothing is worthwhile in it, especially if you're not engaging the player. How is the open world exploration better than the other games? Andromeda presents the Ket, a ruthless alien species who, without giving too much away, does something to their victims that's similar to the Reapers. And in the first paragraph, he states how boring the aliens and their lack of diversity are. The Ket leader looks and acts like a Teletubby, and Remnant are mysterious, unimaginative opponents for the sake of it. The Andromeda Initiative itself and its reasons for existing, exploration, are asinine, and its premises are broken. What was wrong with exploring over 90% of the undiscovered Milky Way galaxy? Then he gives us this gem. Finally, there's the story of the Ryder clan, which starts with Patriarch Alec, a man full of secrets and surprises. Gee, I wonder what political ideology this writer is part of. The Patriarch? What? Anyone who knows my channel knows I could easily spend an hour on this topic on the first 10 minutes of the game alone, and I probably already have, so we'll just keep going. Whether you play as Sarah or Scott Ryder, you'll find Ryder to be a worthy successor to Commander Shepard. After telling us that Ryder is worthy of Commander Shepard, the author doesn't bother to state what makes Ryder special, that is the SAM implant. He then goes on to state that we're investing in character growth and development without stating any kind of character growth or development. This is the mark of an insane fanboy, inventing the narrative. Wow, there's a protagonist who will eventually be better, for no reasons at all. Once again, the author fails before he starts. There's no replacing Tali, Rex, Liara, or the beloved Garrus. Does someone have a gun to his head here? His final sentence, you won't leave Andromeda as invested in PB, Drac, and Vetra as you were with Garrus and Tali. That's okay, just give it time because they'll definitely grow on you. And the ingredients are all there to be explained in future games. This implies that it's a start to a better thing. In order for this to be superior to, let's say, either Mass Effect or Mass Effect 2, where characters were introduced, such a setup must then be compared to those games, and the quality is then analyzed. This fanboy can't even bother explaining himself, which makes his point irrelevant. I haven't played the game, so I can't say, and since the system isn't in any of the other games, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. First he goes into saying how bad the customizations are in character creation, but they're working on it. They're going to fix it, so already Andromeda is broken, much like this fellow's arguments. Then he states how weapons and armor are now craftable, which is fine, But as I stated in a previous video, crafting can make or break a game. No mention that you can only craft weapons or armor for yourself and not your squad, or how long it takes to get crafting components, or how you get points on how to unlock technology or recipes or other such mechanics. Just that it exists and therefore it's better. He states there's modding, but there was also modding in Mass Effect 3. Again, no comparison to determine value. So here we have, by the author's admission, an admittedly bad or broken character customization, limited crafting of weapons and armor, only for your character, and no talk on how difficult it is to farm, or how long grinding takes, or how easy it is to navigate your inventory, and that it has modding, like how Mass Effect 3 had modding. So how is this the best in the series? Okay, moral realism. I wonder if he took an arts course in university here. Now, I studied the Greek, so I know a bit about this topic, but essentially he's saying because Paragon and Renegade is removed, it allows for more dialogue response options and thus adds more realism. Well, that has nothing to do with moral realism, nor realism itself, and I don't even know why realism in a story or dialogue options are important, nor do I think that there's 4 options for dialogue in every instance of conversation, like logical, emotional responses, and that these grant additional outcomes which are morally realistic. You just get to choose a different dialogue option that has little to no impact. Ryder is a newbie, and it seems like everyone acts like a juvenile anyway. Adding more options that do nothing, that don't impact anyone, is pointless. Other games have done this the right way, like Alpha Protocol, where the point and design of that game was choice is your weapon. Mass Effect Andromeda just adds dialogue that does nothing. That does not make it superior, that makes it a lying joke. Again, he doesn't compare the loyalty missions of Mass Effect 2 to Andromeda. He just states that Cora has won. Okay, great. Cora, the character who never shuts up about being trained as an Asari huntress. Then there's this gem. The best thing about these missions is that how you carry them out will affect your relationship with that character. Gee, I didn't know that's what happens on loyalty missions. Well, I understand arguments. How are loyalty missions in Andromeda better then? I'm wondering if he actually finished or even read this section. Choices have consequences. Not really. Here's a list by RPGsite.net to showcase just how limited they are. He goes on to say choices do matter in Mass Effect Andromeda. They may not alter the fundamentals, but the stakes are deeply personal and the consequences evoke real emotional responses. That sentence states that this is all subjective. So basically, there are no plot-related choices that have consequences. But you can choose romantic options via loyalty missions whose function is the same as in the other games. So how is it better here? Yes, that's correct. There is more content in Mass Effect Andromeda than other Mass Effect games. However, the author states this. There's no denying the fact that some of the tasks aren't too exciting, finding and scanning various minerals or animals, for example, which is the exact problem another open-world style game, Dragon Age Inquisition, was criticized for, because it has all kinds of boring, pointless crap in it. Quantity over quality. Is that what makes Mass Effect Andromeda better? If it has more crap in it, well, okay, sure. If you like a lot of repetitive, boring, pointless crap, you will get that in Mass Effect Andromeda. Here he makes several points. He states that mining and scanning has been boring, and Andromeda simplifies that boringness. Okay. Mining at the ground level and is thus more realistic and apparently more satisfying. Okay, how is it more satisfying? You can scan planets from orbit, which involves 1 or 2 simple trigger presses. If it's so simple and basic, why even have it in the game? Other things like combat, it simply is. Ordering allies around on the battlefield, which is pointless because they just end up doing what they want to do anyway. Oh, and he forgets to mention the limited control of your teammates compared to other games where simplicity is actually a bad thing. There's the navigating of your ship through the galaxy, compared to which Mass Effect, I don't even know what he's talking about here. Basically, everything that slowed the games down to a crawl in the past has been eliminated or condensed. Aside from the traveling to new planets, which takes over 20 to 30 seconds, and had to be fixed so it was skippable, because no one playtested the game for quality control. There's incredibly long load times, sometimes to the point of just breaking the game. Then there's massive levels, which take hours to explore, because there's so much lame content, as the author previously stated. And you can't discount the importance of the much discussed jump jet and quick evade movements. While there certainly is a jump jet mechanic, gone are the various combat rolls and rolling to and from cover. But instead of comparing or explaining them, which is the point of the article, he just states them as enhancements. Sure, the levels and graphics are better, after all it's a new game with a new engine, but the game was panned as having horrible facial animations and modeling, so no, unless this category was just levels or vistas or anything related to level design, you can't just say the visuals are better when everyone in the game is some version of Creepy McTiredface and had to be patched. Multiplayer has no effect on the single-player game other than the ability to earn some nice rewards. So how is that better than Mass Effect 3's? All the evidence I've read online and listened to from others is that it's repetitive, boring, and not as fun or exciting as Mass Effect 3's. Many people are going back to Mass Effect 3's multiplayer because it is more fun. Mass Effect 3 has more melee options, better classes, and thus better weapons. Enemies in Mass Effect Andromeda are just bullet sponges. Weapons are rare drops in multiplayer that are either weaker than normal weapons or simply not worth it. So how is Mass Effect Andromeda's multiplayer better than Mass Effect 3's? This is akin to comparing Garrus to Jaal, I think. The one thing he states the Tempest has over the Normandy is the wraparound windows. No mention of the ridiculous bugs of Sam saying we have an email when we don't, characters spawning two versions of themselves, standing in weird ways or whatever Liam is doing here. There's the room loading bugs and just broken environments. And this is his number one reason. Can someone please tell me when fanboys will get a clue? I have nothing against people who like a bad thing and can see and appreciate it for what it's worth. That's called making the best of a bad situation. But when you try and sound intellectual or you plan your thoughts out and you don't have the decency to think these things through or get a second opinion of or a critique over, then you come across as a mindless, biased fanboy. Even the people in the comments are laughing at how ridiculous this list is. Mass Effect Andromeda has been the weakest game in the series by fan and critic response, and ultimately by sales figures, to the point that EA has put the series on hold. If the game was so good, better than the other games, that wouldn't have happened.